Hello. Happy Monday. I'm coming from a new setting tonight. My Wi-Fi kept buffering and buffering and buffering tonight in my office, so I had to move inside. I feel like I'm under a spotlight. It's just 8:30. Hey, Jessica. So we're gonna just chat for a couple minutes while we wait for some people to find us. How are you tonight, Jessica? Hi, Rosemary. It's really hard to see on this little phone, so don't feel like I'm ignoring anybody. Oh, we finally had a sunny day, but it's still cold here. And I know Rosemary's counting down the days to spring, and I check her timeline every morning to see how many more days. It's not right to, hi Dana, thanks for tuning in. It's not right to wish away your life, but I'll tell you what, I am done with winter. I don't do winter very well. So it's probably a good thing I live in a state where it doesn't last too long. Oh, we've got a few people hopping on. I really appreciate that. And, you know, as we talk tonight, if you would, if you can think of anyone that you think might benefit from the topic, feel free to share while we're live, or share the replay after we sign off. If you can think of anyone that you think might need to hear the message, or share the conversation. And if you do me a favor, if you're watching live, oh, hi, Deborah. Thanks for tuning in from your adventure. If you're watching this live, would you do me a favor and type live in the comments? And if you're catching this on the replay, would you please type replay? It just helps me keep track of who tunes in when, and helps me kind of decide if I'm on track with timing and everything like that. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm not going to stay on too late. I always say that, but I'm not. I have a lot to say, but I may break some of it down and do it in a couple of different lives. My name's Mary Moss, for those who don't know me, and one of my friends said I needed to introduce myself as a writer and speaker and published author first, and to say that my alter ego was as an administrator for a company here in town. I work in the transportation department, which is a fairly new job for me, and I really like it, but my dream, of course, is to write and speak full-time. And I am so honored that you hopped on tonight. I really appreciate it. Part of my ministry, my mission in life, is to help other people discover how their story connects to God's story. And I know for me, I have to be in connection with Him in order to figure that out. So I'm hoping by some of my missteps and successes, little victories along the way, that others might find some hope in their own situation. I'll always tell you how it is. I'm not going to try to be fake. I've never tried to be fake. I don't think that helps anybody, and it's exhausting. But I wanted to talk about, I was just so amazed at the response I got from the live, or from the post I did about a week ago on how I went from being broken and kind of lost to current day. And a lot of people really responded to that, and it obviously resonated with people. And I knew I wasn't alone, but I was really kind of surprised, and pleasantly surprised that I could reach out to so many people and let them know they weren't alone. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about, a couple people asked me, well, how did you get where you are? Hey, Katie. So I wanted to just talk about that a little bit. And I want to preface that with saying that I am not anywhere near where I want to be, nowhere near the best version of myself, but I'm a lot better than I was a year ago. And so I'd like to share that little bit of the journey and then talk to you about how I plan to move forward. And hopefully you can get some ideas for yourself on how to maybe change some things up in your life. So a little over a year ago, I had an opportunity to go down to Florida on a 3-day retreat, kind of a dream coach retreat, kind of the start of the dream coach program, I guess. But we were down there to work on our dreams, figure out what our dreams were, figure out some steps we might take to accomplish them. And it was really more than that, but that was the main thing. It was also about mindset and getting our heads in the right place to get where we wanted to go in life. And it was a terrific experience. Right before that, really for almost a year before that, I was miserable in my job. A job that I had loved had become toxic in every way. It was horrible. I was just I was depressed. I had started getting physically ill all the time. And it was really unfortunate because, like I said, I had really loved the job and the people that I worked with. And so that obviously permeated over to other aspects of my life. And, you know, my husband, Jim, he knew I needed a change. He knew I needed something, but he didn't know what, and he didn't know how to help me. So when this opportunity came up, in spite of all my objections, he said, you know, you've just got to go. You've got to go. And even if the only thing you do is soak in the hot tub all weekend, he said, and nap. He said, you just need a change, and maybe this is the change you need. So I've been sick as a dog the entire week before I went. Every day I messaged Katie, one of our adventure team members, leaders in the group, and every day it was like, okay, I think I can go. Oh no, I'm really sick again. Yes. So we went back and forth, and we both prayed a lot, and it worked out that I went. I just said, fine, I'm just going to do it. And that was kind of the beginning of this transformation that has taken place. It was a safe place. I have journaled since then that I wish that my heart and my head had been in a better place when I was down there, because I could have more fully embraced the incredible people who were there with me. And thankfully, since then, I have connected with them and embraced them fully, and we're all very close. We all shared that experience, and it made a really strong bond between us. But then we've also shared our own journeys since then with each other, and encouraged and uplifted each other, and shared in that journey with each other. And it really, it's really been a remarkable experience. So I've had the benefit of a group of people, a tribe, who kind of had a common experience with me. None of us had the same backgrounds at all. I don't think any two of us had the same background, but we were all kind of in a similar place in our lives, and so we had that in common. And I think that was one of the things that made that experience so important in this process. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is to find a group that you can plug into if you don't already have one. And it can be through a church, through a community group, just a circle of friends. But that's really important. So the person who was leading that retreat is John Eric Mosler, who I had been taking social media training from, and had known for, I guess, about a year and a half before this weekend. And beyond just social media tips and tricks and tools, he also did a lot of talking with us and sharing with us about mindset, and about how social media was about relationships, that our dream was for the world and not for us, and that other people could benefit from our dreams. And so we had kind of had an obligation to share it. And he just really poured into us a lot about loving each other and respecting each other, and recognizing that other people could also be coming from a place of pain, that other people were at various stages in healing, and that really we all needed to just kind of give each other the benefit of the doubt. Not just the people we know, but basically everybody in the world. Because you never know, we've all heard that before, you never know what somebody else is walking. So I say that he really has become a life coach, and with a few social media tips, tricks, and hacks thrown in. And I think he has become more vulnerable in sharing his experiences with us as we've opened up to him, but also I think as he's grown as a person. So he's modeling kind of that progress as a human being for us, and that makes a huge difference too. It also helps that I had supportive family and circle of friends that I already knew who have walked with me through this. But when I came home from Florida, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what my dream was going to look like. I like I said, I was pretty lost, and I couldn't even think about it. But one thing I did know is that I needed to change jobs. And, so I started applying for jobs, and I was getting a lot of calls, but none of them were for jobs that paid enough. And since I was the full-time employed person and not a contractor like Jim, we needed benefits, but we also needed a minimum salary. And after a while, I reached out to an employment agency, and the director wasn't even really nice to me, but ultimately had a real conversation with me about your resume's a mess, and why would anybody want to hire you if they had to read 2 pages, and this isn't orderly. And I mean, she was really, really rude, I thought, and it really hurt my feelings because I had a lot of good experience. But she did me a favor, and I'm looking back, and I'm sharing this because looking back, I can see how God was setting me up. And I didn't know that's what it was, but it was. And so I wish I had trusted the process more. And so I hope that if you're in a situation where you're wondering, what's going on? Why are these things happening to me? Trust that God is doing His job. He is setting you up for some really good things, and He's just getting you ready. So skipping ahead, after I completely redid my resume based on her critique, her mean critique, and I did what made the changes that she suggested, and sure enough, I started getting calls for better jobs, and I realized that if I was going to make the money that I wanted to make, I was going to have to apply for jobs that were not traditionally what I would apply for, and that I thought maybe I'm qualified, but maybe I'm not. And I got a call for a fantastic job. I really thought that it was a setup. I mean, a setup, because it was a lot more than I was making. It was a great job, it was a great company. Benefits were identical almost. I would not have had to lose any paid time off. And they were just really interested in me. So phone interview, in-person interview that ended up actually being a 3-hour interview. 1 hour with each of 3 different people. And, it was just like I was just kind of drifting through it all. But I nailed it. I came out of there and I just knew I had just knocked it out of the park and was really excited. And she called me the next day and said everyone was so impressed. And, they can't ever say, we're going to be calling you to offer you a job. But I've been interviewed for enough jobs to know that that was the unspoken thing. And then I didn't hear, and I didn't hear, and I didn't hear. So I finally emailed her and said, what's going on? Are things still progressing? And she said that an internal candidate had popped up at the last minute. And so they had decided to go ahead and hire from within. And I was beyond devastated because I was miserable in my current job, miserable, physically ill, miserable. And I just thought, well, that's it. I'm never going to find a job. But I kept sending out resumes, and I guess maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month after that, I got a call. A phone interview went really well. Would I come in for an in-person interview? And I did. It was with two of the nicest men I've ever met, who I really respect. They're so professional, so genuinely nice people. My boss, now boss, who is one of the vice presidents, and the senior project manager interviewed me for about an hour. And honestly, the interview was, I could have phoned it in. After the 3-hour interview that I had done the month before, again, God set me up to make this interview so successful. It wasn't as much money as the other job. You know, it wasn't quite the, you know, in a million years kind of job, but it's a good job. It was more money. They were so great to me. They let me take time off that I had already scheduled my first month on the job and let me make up the time. I've been just encouraged and empowered, and am continually, I mean continually, told how much they value my contributions. And it's just a dream come true. And God was just getting me to the point where, hey Glenda, where I needed to receive what this company had to offer for me. And like I said, it's, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. You can look back and just see where God was setting things up. And so that was that. Not that this is perfect. The first few months I was on the job, it was a complete culture shock, complete industry shock. Again, I was really insecure. Didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And I'm still definitely a work in progress, but it's changing. It's changing. I've continued with the social coaching group, and that has also helped me progress in my self-esteem being higher, my self-confidence in knowing who I am. Yes, being treated with respect can sometimes be better than money. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, a few things happening, you know. I slowly started gaining confidence in myself. I started finding my voice again. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where it happened, but I realized that my dream was to write this next book, and that I have several other dreams that I now can see are going to happen. But it didn't happen all at once. It didn't happen overnight. And it, you know, a lot of it was hard work on my part, because, you know, we can't expect other people to change us. We have to take charge of our own well-being. And so I did. Between my faith, which honestly, you know, wavered a little bit during that time until I realized what was going on, and you know, and the mentors that I had, John Eric and some others, and this group, my friends, oh my gosh, my husband, Jim is now fully on board for this best version change that we're doing in 2018, and it's really exciting. But the way I did it was in small incremental changes. I continued to learn, to plug in, to grow. I continued to absorb the lessons that were being offered in terms of how to make your dream come true, how to make your dream more concrete and real, how to, and when I say your dream, it's not necessarily some big pie in the sky thing. Some people have a dream of, you know, maybe you want to just hold babies in the NICU, and you know, your dream is to nurture and comfort them, but also to nurture and comfort their parents. It doesn't have to be some big spectacular thing. I'm a writer, and so obviously my dream is to write. It's not something that I do because I think I'm so smart that I have something to say that nobody else can say, and yet I do, because my story is different than everyone else's, and yet it's very much the same. But my dream is to write because I can't not write. That's a gift God gave me, and since He set me up to be a writer, I'm not the best version of myself when I'm not writing. It's interesting because something I realized recently, just in the past few days, and then my coach talked about it today, or made me think about it today, was something that he said, that my mission, my desire is to help other people figure out how their story interconnects with God's story. As I've been pursuing this dream that I have, I kept my focus really narrow, thinking that the only way I could do that was to write and speak, which kind of put me in a in charge role, I guess. And that's not really the only way that can happen. I've been blessed to, I'm now part of 2 small groups. One is strictly a writers group. There are 4 of us that meet monthly. And then another group that's just forming. We just did vision boards last month, and we're going to have another session because we have some more people joining us. But that I'm helping them do that in those ways as well. And they're helping me. I'm getting as much out of the experiences. But I was keeping my focus too narrow, and I was, you know, I needed to listen for the opportunities that God was putting in front of me to use my gifts and graces in pursuit and fulfillment of my mission. So I don't know if that made sense or not, but so I'm broadening my horizons. But I also realized, you know, I had to recognize ways that I was my own worst enemy and try to figure out how to minimize that. One of the things is that we had just gotten, I'll just talk about myself, had gotten really bad about keeping things organized around the house. We just, you know, when you're depressed and exhausted and, you know, not feeling like you're your best self, you start losing the desire to even keep your environment in a good place. But you have to have all the areas of your life aligned in order for any of them to work. So one of the things we've been doing is I call it decrapping, and that's not a very nice term, but that's what it is. And we're cleaning out drawers, and we're going through closets. And this past weekend, I had 3 bins of just 3 years worth of stuff that we just had stuck away for, we'll look at this someday, we'll look at this someday. It's embarrassing, but it's gone now. It's sorted. Most of it was thrown out, as it turns out. And we also have decided, one of my friends posted that they're going to try to get rid of 2018 things this year. And so we've got our grid started. I don't know how far we'll get, but that's one of our goals, is to try to get rid of more stuff, because there's stuff here that we don't ever use, and a lot of it we've forgotten we even have. So so that's one of our other goals. But some other things that I've done, like one thing, and I know it's going to be backwards, but I had stopped even keeping track of appointments or anything, and I didn't know what was going on. So what I did, while I was binge watching some TV shows, I got some sticker packs for my day timer. And I went in and I did the whole year. Like I have every Monday night, I have a sticker reminding me that I have my Monday night lives. I have all the important birthdays on here. I have meetings that I have scheduled in the community. And they all have also have just little inspirational, motivational things. Like this says, plan your dreams. I have one that says, let's see, hustle and heart, dream big, and it's got a little to-do section. I got a day timer that was set up the way I wanted it to be set up. So it took a while, but I knew that if I was going to use it, it had to be the way I wanted it. So it has the monthly, and then it has daily. And then it also has an area for notes and a to-do list for each week. So and I've disciplined myself to be sure to use it. So that's like a 1% change. That's a small change that I've made. I've made it fun. I've set it up so that it's ready for me to use, so that as I go throughout the year, I can be organized and know what I'm doing. Another thing that I did that I'm really excited about is that I'm putting all of my contacts in my phone. I'm so old school that I had never done that. But you know, when you have to message your daughter and ask for her grandfather's new address, because he moved, it's time to do something. So I'm starting to input all of my contacts in my phone. So I'm doing a couple things. I'm getting my environment into good shape, so it's not a distraction, so it doesn't continue to make me have negative self-talk. And it's also keeping me organized. No distractions. I'm not bummed because I don't have things the way they need to be. And so it helps me have more time to pursue my dream and to go after the things that I really want. Another area that I am committed to work on this year is health and wellness, because that was the other thing. Emotional eating has been huge for me in the last year, especially. And it's just gotten out of hand. So I decided that I'm going to do 1% changes in that area, just like I have in other areas. I've done with social media. I've started doing it with the house, with projects around the house. But my 1% change for health and wellness last week was to drink lots of water. You know, they say you're supposed to drink half your body weight in water. So I haven't done that much, but I try, while I'm at work, I try to always have a cup of water. And I've noticed a difference. My joints are not as painful. I can, move around a little bit better, and my skin's not quite as dry. So having seen that benefit, I'm ready to add another 1% change. And I'm going to drop a link to this after the live. My friend Amber Suter is Fat Fighting Mom on Facebook, and she's a health and wellness, I call her an expert. I don't know if she calls herself that. But she lost a ton of weight. She and her husband own a gym. She does customized menus for people so they can get more healthy. And she did a live, it may have been over the weekend, on how if you just add 10 minutes to your day, like get up 10 minutes earlier, or do 10 minutes, after work of activity, walking, jumping jacks, lunges, doing hand weights. 10 minutes of that is going to increase your cardiovascular health. It's going to give you more energy. And then once you get your 10 minutes, then you can add, you can increase that each week. So my 1% change for this week is going to be 10 minutes of exercise a day. And I don't know what my other 1% things will be. We'll just have to see as we go along. But the 1% has been huge for me, and I can't explain. There's if you make a 1% change every day, it only takes 70 days for a 100% change, because it's exponential. You add the new 1% every day to the 1% for that day. There's a whole formula about it. It's a whole science behind it. But your body and your mind, adapt more easily in little increments. It also helps you not feel so overwhelmed and discouraged. My coach introduced the concept to us in the social media coaching, because so many of us were feeling like we couldn't keep up with all the concepts and everything that he was teaching. And everybody's at a different level. So I was continually feeling like I was so far behind. I need to get caught up. I need to get caught up. And he explained that if we just learn, one thing, tweak one thing, and learn that well, and start implementing it, and then move on to the next one, and pretty soon, you've acquired a whole bunch of knowledge, but you've done it a little bit at a time, and you're more receptive to it. You learn better. Excuse me, if you don't have to learn something in huge chunks. So those are kind of my tips. That's a little bit about my journey. I am so far from where I need to be and where I want to be. I'm a work in progress, but I am a work in progress, and I'm really excited. I'm giving myself grace. I'm trying really hard to not fall back into the self-talk and to say mean things to myself. And I'm grateful to be surrounded by so many people who get it, who are either there with me or who know where I am and know the areas that I need extra love and encouragement and support, and occasionally a kick in the pants. So I'm very blessed and very grateful. I feel like I have a new lease on life. And my word for 2018 is Renaissance. And so far, it's feeling very much like that's going to happen. So thank you all so much for hanging in there with me. It went on a little bit longer than I had intended, but I had promised, a couple people had said, please share what's going on. What are you doing, and what got you to this point. So that's it in a nutshell. I appreciate you hanging in there. I hope you have a great Monday and a great week. And I will talk to you next Monday. Thanks.